Nice. All right, so what are we going to take a break right now and then come back and wrap it up here with Steve Green?
Wrong.
You got how much time we got? 14 minutes. We got to go. Okay, we got it. What was his, what do they call him in his case that he had? He was known as the puppet master, the ringleader puppet master, the one and only. Sure.
He says ringleader.
What was the accusation? It was like a ringleader of a cult or something.
Separatist group. With great responsibility.
Anyways, reporting in, Steve Green. I know you were today at the PTSD panel, right? And you got a chance to say, what was your impressions of all that, if you would?
Yeah, it was the most interesting panel I'd been to so far. It went well, obviously, for PTSD. The other two, not so well. I think that there's some folks that have already made up their decision on everything. There's a couple of people on the panel that'll vote no. If they had a vote for cannabis with cancer, they would vote no. They would just vote no across the board on everything. Interesting topic near the end was they talked about attendance and how many people have missed so many meetings and things, and how the policy works and the procedures and rules, and takes 6 people to vote something in, whether 11 people are there or whether 7 people are there. So it kind of stacks the deck. When there's less people there, makes the percentages harder. And it was a volunteer position, so I spoke at the panel in the comment section along with several other people, and that was one of the topics as well. Is this is a volunteer position, and I know other people that would like to be on that panel. If you don't take this seriously or you don't want to be here, you're more than welcome to withdraw. There may be a few positions there, like Mr. Davis, he couldn't do that, or Dr. Davis, but some of the other ones could, and so that was an interesting topic. And Mr. Brogan brought up an interesting point: is we don't want to just throw every condition in the fire, because if they get stricken down, then it's very hard to get them re-examined or back in. So it was a tremendous amount of work. I know on John Evans' part, and several other people just kept it going, and that was great. And today there was a lot of good, people that spoke, and it went on, more than just PTSD for soldiers, which was, I think we had 3 people there. I might add that when the meeting started, there was less than 3 seats open. So we pretty much packed the room, and there were, about 10 THS members there. And it was nice to see that many people. It was in the building, the Lara building, so it was, like a high security building. You have to get escorted to the room and all that kind of stuff. And near the end, Dr. Davis made some comments about that we should all caution our friends, because driving on marijuana, the fatality rate is skyrocketing, and it's causing such a problem in places like Colorado and Washington now. So there was a little bit of comments at the end that was a little hysteria, but other than that, it went pretty well. And there was actually, I know Vic Hansen and, Victor Vicious and a few other people that spoke. The panel kind of addressed them back and forth like there was a volley. And I know in the past, any time someone's tried to address the panel directly, they've, just said that's not the kind of panel this is. So it was really interesting.
Was it, when you say they volleyed back and forth with Victor, was it aggressive towards him, or was it they were actually seeking information?
It was more of just friendly back and forth, but Vic made a comment that it almost you know, when they allowed the comments, they said we don't want anyone to, you know, bash us type of thing. And so when Vic spoke, he said, you know, it almost feels like that's the position we're being put in, is you guys vote and then you allow us to make comments. So if you vote in a way that we don't favor, you would expect the comments to all be negative. So, you know, I think comments should happen before the vote, and, you know, they just again went over the policy, and that was interesting because a couple of them mentioned that the panel's failing. It's failing in the rules, it's failing in the policies. So it just seemed like it's not going as well as it should be.
So the administration of the panel itself even admits that they are not meeting the requirements of law set forth in the MMA then, correct?
Yeah, it's not going the way it's supposed to go that way. With all the different rules, there's so many administrative rules, I guess, put in place that it's making it very hard for them.
I can appreciate that. Of course, LARA's the organization that established the administrative rules, or I'm sorry, the DCH before them. So they could easily change the rules because they created them. But does it seem like they're posturing to disband this panel and start all over again, or are they going to stick with these guys for now?
I would say for now they're going to stick with them. You know, I do kind of feel like they gave us PTSD so that they can, for now and forever, deny everything else, and say, see, we approved one, so we're not totally against it. But that's just my own personal hunch on that.
Thanks for your comments, Dave. I don't know if you heard him earlier on the show, but he was very complimentary towards the folks that testified today. And named some people specifically as having done exceptional jobs. So I absolutely wish there was a videotape of that existed so that we could let other people in other states use that as a showpiece for how it should be done.
Yeah, it was an awesome job. I'm actually still hanging out with a couple of people that testified, John Evans and Constance Taylor, and they had some very powerful testimony, and I'm just glad so many people showed up because, you know, I think they had to examine that there were people there. Like I said, there were, you know, veterans there that spoke as well. Dakota spoke about his struggles with PTSD and coming back to society after war. So it was really a lot of powerful testimony, and it looked like it impacted at least a few of them.
Thanks very much for representing the community, Steve, and for all that you do on behalf of PGT.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for calling in, Steve, and good reporting, and want to, you know, hear what's going on. Keep us informed, okay? Thank you so much. Okay. So I think we got a couple callers. We got like 4 minutes left. Should we go to the lines here? Should we risk it, Jamie?
Sure. Jamie says, go for it.
We got a 616 number. Call you on the air. Chad's taking our calls. Welcome to Planet Green Juice.
Thank you. I just have a question that's kind of off topic, but I hope you will answer it because I run a clinic and I get this question all the time in regards to caregivers who need to leave for a few days at a time. What do they do with their grow? Is there a legal way for them to have help with that if they have to leave town? Because obviously you can't not maintain these plants. So is there any suggestions?
Thanks very much for representing that community, Steve.
What a great question. And you make a very, very good point. Like, you really, what it does is you're begging the question such as, are you telling me that this law is written in such a way that if I become a caregiver, I can never leave town ever for one day? It's like that's what you're basically asking. And I get it; it's outrageous. And you know what? In a literal and critical, and if I guess if you know I was giving you legal advice, and there was a police officer and a prosecutor named Bill Schutte that was standing over us and listening and answering to the question, and they were given an opportunity to, to scrutinize the answer, I think they would say that no one other than you, the caregiver, are entitled to possess those plants. Now, I do think that there's some circumstances where, and I'm not suggesting this, but there may be some nuances that, that may be understood as an exception to what we understood as more people having their growth. And I'm entitled to have 40 plants, and our plants are growing together, but I've got 24 and you've got 24, and they're in the same room. It can't be said necessarily that I'm possessing more than the 48 I'm allowed, and it can't be said necessarily that you're possessing more than the 48 you're allowed. And I'm not suggesting that, but I think that's an unresolved issue. But really, at the end of the day, in the scenario that you've presented to me, I would say this. When somebody is examining plants, those plants belong to that person and nobody else has access to them ever, and that's how it is, I mean, sometimes, if you got a husband and a wife, and they've got two different rooms in the basement, and I say, what would happen in the moment in time before anyone learns about it? What is that moment in time? It's the God forbid when the police want to come in and examine it, and someone from the basement that was working in one of the two rooms comes up and says, yes, this is my garden, and that's my husband's garden. And when you say this is my garden, it means that you don't have access to your husband's garden. And there's no key ring, there's no key chain, there's no, code that you have in your wallet or on your readily accessible smartphone that shows that you can have access to that room. Now, maybe on another day, you're in another room. What happened before that? Nobody knows. Nobody cares about it. On that day, that's your room. I mean, that's the only way to maneuver through this with its insanity. That may happen sometimes. There's nothing, doesn't matter what happened before per se, and no one needs to know what point in time things came into fruition. So I guess my point is, there's some ridiculous, unworkable situations that beg these kind of questions of whether a caregiver could have someone, watering their plants. I mean, how could anyone ever know, who's never grown marijuana before, know when the right time might be to harvest if they've never done it before? I mean, wouldn't you want someone looking over your shoulder to at least give you a little bit of guidance? I mean, it's almost silly.
Tried drip or automated watering systems. It's helped for a while as well. Easy to set up.
There you go. Chad's got the caregiver solution.
Just another angle.
Strike that from the record, what I just said. Forget it.
Okay.
And I mean, it is a ridiculous question, and I'm, you knew the answer kind of before I gave it. I was trying to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All righty then. Have a great night. All right, should we try one more? Because
that was a good call.
It was a good call. Was it a coherent answer, or was it too much legal advice? 989, you're on the air. Final caller. We're over to the timeline, 37 seconds.
Yeah, this is Hoss. I just wanted to thank everybody. Team Logan, we raised $1,400 for him last week, and I love you that you gave me the chance to put a plug in for him last week.
Hey, fantastic. That's great news. That was a fishing tournament you guys had, right?
Yes. And between the T-shirts and the fishing, we made $1,400 in 5 hours. So, pretty.
That's fantastic.
While you guys are all in the same room, when you're done with the show, you want to talk about Hash Bash. I got something going on for you and Jamie, Mike.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up on the show. And we're just going to do our final wrap-up countdown here. You're more than welcome to sit in if you'd like. Let's go through it. Chad, final thoughts.
Next meeting of Birmingham Compassion is March 18th, 7 to 9 at the Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham, Michigan, 300 West Merrill.
Okay, Rick from the Compassion Chronicles news editor and news chief correspondent for Planet Green Trees. Nick, what are your final thoughts?
I just want to remind everybody what's coming up this month. It is really amazing. I mean, even though the Americans' Rights Conference was canceled for the weekend of the 14th, On Tuesday the 11th, if you'd like to join ASA, you can come down to Detroit at the Stonehouse Bar at 7 p.m. We'll be there doing that. There's a medical marijuana conference in Grand Rapids on the weekend of the 21st. Also, they're going to have a first glass blowers competition on the Sunday at that same location in Grand Rapids. On Saturday the 22nd, there'll be a Northeast Michigan Compassion Club meeting in Oscoda. And then on the 28th, the MM Expo with the Rooster Tail Detroit. Plus, there's a hunt presentation in Lapeer, too, and the following weekend is Hash Bash. So, save your nickels. You get a lot of stuff to go to this month.
And, of course, the producer, Jamie. And, again, I want to remind everyone, if you did not like any aspects of the show, complain to Jamie. He booked all the guests. Jamie, what do you have to say?
Well, I attended that dinner, the fundraiser that we were talking about tonight with Dave Palmer, and Governor Palente broke down how policy works in Congress currently, and described how out of the I think there's 435 members, real policy change takes place amidst about 20 of them.
They control the agenda and the rules.
Well, like 400, let's say, are in districts that are pretty solidly, Republican or Democrat. And out of the rest, there's a certain number that are, I guess could go either way or whatever. So then you have the rest that really make the tipping point for some of these issues. It's very interesting, and it was a great way if you have an issue such as ours to get close to decision makers and to learn more about the process. It was really interesting. That's why I wanted Dave on tonight, and I thought it was great.
Good stuff. Way to put a great show together again. Jamie Lowell, thanks everyone for helping out. Appreciate all the guests that call in. Dave Brogren, CPU, and of course the new condition panels, Joshua Covert of Nichols Law Firm.
Both great segments.
Steve Green, advocate and patient listener of Planet Green Trees, reluctantly, I think. Just kidding. Dave Palmer, of course, his wonderful young leadership program, teaching diplomacy. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Be safe, and we will be back next week, and we will talk to you then.
I took a